eu a verdade é que pregúntome que durante todo o ano está habendo unha especie de consenso, non? Que é dicir que a COVID-19 acelerou todas as fendas que había na sociedade internacional, así como as tendencias desde a extensión do mundo asiático e de China en particular, ao liderazgo mundial, até a vida online, non? O que non sei é se son tendencias que van a seguir de maneira lenta e progresiva acelerándose ou realmente a COVID representa un cisne negro que realmente vai cambiar de época a humanidade. Que pensades? And Marola, maybe you could translate my question perfectly from our guest.
Okay. I had the same question, the same comment. So, in fact, I have one example. As I said in my presentation, I think the COVID-19 put into the forefront, as Naranja mentioned too in his presentation, some of the facts, some of the situations that we face during the pandemic, during the confinement around the world. For example, the online presentations, our online meetings, working from home, all this, but they were accelerated, but they existed before. A lot of people are discussing that, oh, we have a new area, but is it true? Because all those factors existed everywhere. In some places, they are more speedy but than others, but I think it's a question of maybe quality and quantity, but they existed already. And so what do you think? Is it a new area? Is it just in a few months we forget about everything and we continue as with the old life? Is it real a new area? And I have one question. In an example, for example, not only considering internet and online meetings and everything, but also in the laboral market. Is it working from home going to stay for a while, forever, or we are going to forget about it and we come back to the old style? Thank you.
Maybe I can start with some thoughts about that.
Sure, go ahead.
So first, from the sustainability perspective, I think we should change. This shouldn't be just parentheses, but it should be a breaking point. Because we are seeing that we can do most of the things that we used to do before with energy and materials intensive consumption. Most of them we can do them before without this kind of environmental impact. So I think that's very important to realize that we should change path. As Nuncia said, this shouldn't be just coming back to the old normal, but we should come back to a new and better position that we started from. And regarding the job market, I'm not sure about working from home or not, but what I think is that we are realizing of how much our lives have become precarious with the job market since the last 20 years. Before, we used to have a job for our whole life. We have some certainty. Nowadays, that's not the case anymore. Most jobs are just temporary. You have to move a lot. And now we realize that's not a sustainable solution in the long term. And that causes a lot of stress, a lot of uncertainty, breaking life plans. And that should also change in my view.
So I would just like to add one thing, if I can. Yes, I agree with what Javier said, and Marol also you said. These things existed before, but only now we are, I think, realizing the importance of all these things, whether it is health or whether it is working from home, the use of technology. So what I think is that, like, even if we eventually may find vaccine for Corona, but I think some of this should be continued, like Javier said about a new normal. So this should continue, because the reason why all these things now we are focusing more is because I think there hasn't been a tragedy of this magnitude before, and it's the spread of the pandemic and the loss of so many lives. I think that has brought all these issues, which otherwise we were living our normal lifestyle in which these things existed, but maybe it didn't matter to us. But Now I think along with vaccine, I think these all as a precautionary measures, I think we need to continue with this new normal, making it our normal from here onwards. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think I'll have to agree with what everyone has said here because, well, I mean, look at it this way. In Europe, for example, there's a great demand for money. Now, with regards to money, you also have to consider that this pandemic has brought forth evidence that we can no longer afford to forget other elements of living, such as the environment. And if people are to go back to going back to offices, commuting, traveling, using public facilities such as trains, buses, all of these things are going to require a lot of investment. Do European countries have that sort of money to invest in these things at the moment? With regards to Asia, for example, here it's going to be difficult to inflict that kind of discipline. You can vaccinate people by all means, but fact of the matter is that lifestyles have got to change, living has got to change, because the vaccine is not going, it's not as if you get one jab and that's it, you're immunized for life. There's absolutely no proof of it that as yet. If that changes, perhaps work patterns could change, but for the foreseeable future, I think work from home is definitely going to stay around. Plus, there's also a digital element as well. A lot of people, our generation, people who are now in their mid-careers, I suppose, we suddenly had to realize that we've got to upgrade our digital skills because we're no longer just working from home, we're physically in an office. Everything is now technology-based. And in order to do that, we've had to sort of go back to school on some level where we've had to not just relearn how to do our jobs, but to do them in a different manner. And that doesn't really require us to leave our homes. We can do that and a lot more from homes. And I suppose for the next generation, children who are in school, a lot of it will depend on that as well. I think one of the greatest things that the pandemic has done is it's made offices, work environments a lot more empathetic towards the needs for children and the school routine. So I feel that work from home is definitely going to be here for a while. It's not just, 2021, 1st January comes around and all of us are going to be piling into our cars and buses and trains and heading off to work. I certainly don't see that happening. There's too much at stake right now to suddenly give up and say, let's go back to the old normal. The old normal wasn't working. We are where we are because of it.
Thank you. Very good points. I think very good points.